What is something illegal you have done and got away without getting caught? Not me, but my cousin confessed something like this to me when we were super drunk. She used to work at a cafe, managed by her older brother, my other cousin. The owners were richer holes who nickel and dimes their employees, constantly offering raises to get people to stay on staff and then finding some reason to rescind them. Just real toxic and scummy shit. Well, I guess this other girl got hired who had a history of drug use but was clean now. Right around the same time money started to go consistently missing from the safe that was located in the wall of the employee bathroom. No idea why it was there, but I don't think the room was always a bathroom and the building was old historical. First it was just 50 or 75 here and there. Owners chalked it up to miscalculations. Then it turned into hundreds. That's when they started to get pissed and suspect the new girl with the messed up past. When confronted, she freaked out. I guess unbeknownst to everyone, she was back on drugs. She immediately split and was never heard from again. Out of sympathy, the owners were convinced by the manager to not press charges since finding her would probably be a long and unlikely process anyway. Money stopped going missing. All was well again. A few months later, my cousin graduates college and quits the cafe for a better job. Once she's done with her duties, she admitted to her brother manager it was her all along and she saved some of what she stole for him to use too. She ended up stealing just under $3,000 over a few weeks. She used it to repair her car and he used it to pay off some credit card debt. I still haven't decided if I'm proud they stole from rich people who mistreat employees or ashamed they risked someone who was clearly struggling getting blamed for the crime. Stole a Blue Angels flag from the hangar they were parked in. When I was in the Navy, the Blue Angels visited the airbase I was stationed at. They proceeded to kick all of our planes out of our hangar and I had to fix our birds out in the rain. In a fit of contempt, on the last day they were there, I went into the mezz and stole the flag hanging from the overhead beams. I still have the flag and wear it like a cape from time to time. When I went backpacking through Europe, I bought an airsoft pistol in Italy, a replica Beretta 92 FS, nickel plated. It looked real, it was heavy, I could have pointed it at you and you would think it was real. Because I'm a effing idiot, I decided to bring it home to Canada with me. I packed it in my checked baggage, big backpack, and didn't think anything of it until I arrived back in Toronto and was asked to put my bag in the X-ray machine at customs. At this point I realized, holy crap, I'm bringing a gun into the country. Replica handguns are completely illegal. I would have been in a shitload of trouble, and I started to panic. Lucky me, I remembered exactly how I had packed the pistol, so when I lay the bag on the conveyor belt, I laid it down so that the X-ray wouldn't see the profile of the pistol. When the bag went through the machine, you could clearly see the gun, but it was at an angle facing away, so rather than a pistol shape, it was just a metal rectangle. The inspection agent guy, whatever stopped the belt, pointed directly at the chunk of metal and said, "What's that?" I looked him dead in the eye and said, "It's a toy." The next few seconds felt like an eternity. I could feel my pulse pounding in my neck. I was terrified, but then he just said, "Okay, welcome home," and let me go. I retrieved my bag, walked into the main terminal, then went and threw up in the nearest garbage can. Yay. I was dumb, but I got away with it. I got broke when it was the week before our Christmas party in school. I had to buy something from this girl I picked in a drawer, asked a friend to go with me in a department store, picked a handkerchief from a shelf, went to the clothing section and chose a shirt, and I went to the fitting room, went out with the handkerchief in my bra, left the shirt, walked straight out of the store. In another situation, I picked up a blush palette and walked straight out of the drugstore. It was out of spite. Worth it. Going on Club Penguin without parents' permission. I accidentally shoplifted some pudding cups once. I was at Target and was buying a couple of large bags of dog food which were in the basket part of the cart and several smaller items that were in the top part of the cart. I had tossed the pudding cups into the basket part before I put the dog food bags in and forgot they were there when I put all the smaller items on the belt to be rung up. They were hidden from view when the dog food bags were scanned. I saw them when I was putting the dog food bags into the trunk. If the lines weren't so long, I would have gone back to pay for them, but 20+ minutes for a 99-cent item, I can live with that. If it were a more expensive item, I would have returned to pay for it. Bill Cosby's pudding cup uppance. I stole a piece of obsidian from biology class. At the next lesson, biology teacher came to our classroom and forced us to admit who stole an obsidian. But I didn't. Just took my statewide standardized test and forgot my phone in my pocket. I listened to music through my headphones the whole time. SWAT team is zeroing in on your location now. Watching porn under 18. I once overslept for an oral English exam. So I forged the letter I received with the date and moved it to following week. Showed it to my English teacher and she said it was probably a mistake, but I had to show it to the school dean as well to get approval for a reschedule. I showed the forged letter to him and he instantly found a mistake I made in the letter and just casually said that the letter looked typed over. I was sweating bullets at that point because forging a letter for an exam is a pretty harsh offense and could have gotten me suspended. But he just shrugged it off and gave me permission for a reschedule. I guess since I wasn't a troublemaker he just gave me a pass. The dean was one of the cooler teachers at school though. He loved SpongeBob and if he gave you detention work, you had to make a SpongeBob figure with a sponge and such. When I was in college I ran a free, illegal bar for my friends out of my dorm room using alcohol that I stole. I had a whole system worked out for stealing the booze from this big grocery store chain and the entire time none of the employees suspected a thing. I made friends with a bunch of them and they would always say hi to me and chat whenever I would go, which was about 2 to 3 times a week. I actually did get caught for the stealing, but not at that grocery store, only when I tried to do it at Target back home in Chicago. I got arrested for that and felt really stupid for what I was doing, so I gave up shoplifting. However, I never got in trouble for my bar and I had a lot of fun mixing drinks for my friends. Also made my room the spot to hang out before going to hit the parties later on. Flown with weed in my checked luggage. This happened to me too. Went from Dallas to New York to London to Budapest before I found it. I think that makes me an international drug smuggler. I stole my own car from the tow impound lot. Best part was getting the certified letter months later that they were going to auction it if I didn't come and pay for it. I trespassed a condo car park to see an expensive car. I pretended I lived there. I bet you took a picture of it too, you monster. Unfortunately it wasn't there, it was a nice modified Lamborghini Aventador. Not me but my sainted grandmother carried an illegal revolver in NYC for 50 years and never got caught. Used it twice and walked away, never calling the cops. Generally speaking, getting a pistol carry permit in NYC today requires a $20 K donation to the NYPD. I was going 75 in a 35 with a Domino's pizza topper lit up on my roof late at night on an empty country road. A cop went by in the other direction, lit up his light bar, and started turning around to follow me. I unplugged the topper, pulled into the next neighborhood, cut my lights and pulled into a driveway. The cop drove by without noticing me. I felt like a badass, but then a sense of dread settled in when I realized that if he noticed that the glowing topper said Domino's Pizza on it, he'd know where to find me. Luckily, he had better things to do and never came to get me at the store. The summer after I graduated high school, my best friend and I bought season passes to Six Flags and decided to go every day because it was only an hour plus away. A week or two into our summer, Six Flags introduced their fast passes. We immediately bought them, jumped the line and were hooked. This was going to be the best summer of our lives, but the fast passes were like $20 each, which adds up if you're going every day. Luckily for us, the stupid idiots printed them on business cards and punched out a hole when you rode. So we just printed our own at home on my friend's dad's super nice printer and rode the shit out of every ride we could. We started making friends with the ride operators, and they'd start telling us what color the ink would be the next week so we could stay ahead of the law and the suckers in line. After 2 months or so, they started printing them on plastic. But I worked at a plastic factory that used plastic sheeting that was the same thickness, and we were still able to print them if I cut the sheets down to size. We got to ride the rest of the summer out in style, but the next year they introduced the Tamagotchi looking fast passes, and I knew that I'd been beaten. It was the best summer of my life, and it was really thrilling to feel like I was getting away with something that was technically illegal, but also was a completely victimless crime. Stole some candy when I was 6 years old at the corner store in 1967. The summer of love for candy. I hid it behind a sock ball in my hand. I even showed the sock ball to the owner and said, "You like my sock ball?" I still feel remorse. He was nice gentleman. I was visiting the beach, and when walking home with a friend from a bar at 4 AM on a Sunday night, we came across a jet ski on the beach being bounced around by the waves. My friend convinced me to ride it back with him the next mile to where we were staying. So we rode it in the ocean in pitch black while a storm was out in the distance. Cool, not scary. When we got to our place, we rode it around until the sun came up and then I found the jet ski registration. Found the guy on Facebook, played the good guy and messaged him and told him, hey, I found your jet ski at X location on the beach. Then went inside. It was a pretty thrilling experience. I don't know how illegal it was considering it was a jet ski just left in the ocean, and I returned it, but it was still pretty fun. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more Reddit addiction. Also leave a comment on what are some illegal things you got away with.